Bazi is called, that's what the seminar is called, Bazi, the Four Pillars of Destiny. Essentially, the best way to understand it is think of a system of astrology which doesn't actually use astrology. What it uses is the five elements theory, the Chinese five elements theory. The Chinese five elements, the ancient Chinese saw how elements are transition of energy change and they constantly move with time. In fact, they used to use them to record time, as happens here. So imagine there are cogs, large cogs, a machine, every day, every month, every year, and every 10 years, constantly moving and changing. When you're born, the reading, the exact reading on those four cogs is your natal chart. So this is the natal chart. So for example, Anthony Hopkins, we see that this part here, the day, that is what we call the day master. That represents you, your essential qualities. Anthony Hopkins, for instance, he is a yang water sitting over dragon. Kind of it matches for Anthony Hopkins, don't you think? Well, the yang water is represented by the ocean, the vastness of the ocean. And one thing about Hopkins is that he's always been admired for his ability to adapt to different parts, different roles in life. That's the flexibility of the water. It's also there is great wisdom there. A person who is wise has depth. In fact, the value is 100. This is all done by the software. Now, you could do them without software. However, I guess it's one of the only exceptions in my studies, my life, where I'm not a traditionalist, because to do them by hand, you need to get old Chinese calendars, and the level of error is so prevalent just to get one reading. Whereas with this, not only it works it out, but I can then go over here, you see, and change dates. This changes every 10 years. So I can go to periods like this, and I can, let's say, go to the present period. So his last 10-year period started 2016. I go to this year, and then go to October, for instance. So basically, computers make life much, much easier here. So for instance, this month, we see that this year there's yin, earth, pig, but that's everyone, that's all of us. It's the same year that's affecting all of us. But now this year should be a productive year for him, because in the Chinese elements, water produces wood. So he's water and there's wood. Sorry, this month I meant. This month he will probably find some kind of level of production going. So you see, so it becomes a constellation. First of all, how these respond together. Okay, so now, for instance, this is called the children's pillar. This will determine your relationship with children, if you have any. If you don't, it can also represent career. And as you can see, again, there's the productivity, wood. He gives a lot to his career. And it's very rich, which we can easily see. Then this is the parents section. I haven't read up on his parents, but my guess would be, if I had to read, that he probably had a decent relationship, fair relationship with them, because they're water, same as him. Okay, so it's things like that. Now, this is the people section. So we see that there's earth, which is ox, but there's also fire. Now, fire and water, they may seem against each other. However, the interesting thing is, yin fire and yang water form a combination together. So you will find that with people out there, he has a way of entraining people towards him. People feel like there's a lock and key kind of situation. Now, this is just only a part of it, because then this is another advantage of the computer. The computer can actually show you, for example, this is what's known as a follow intensity chart, because the water is particularly strong. It shows you where the wood is, where all the elements are. So that's what the computer does. Now, when I promote this course and we use this course, I refer you to the website. You can download the free version of the software so that you can work out charts. However, if you then find yourself really liking this and wanting to use it in your life with family, friends, whatever, which I think you will, because it's very powerful, Then I would encourage you to buy the premium version. It's not that expensive. You buy it once. It's not a subscription, but then it gives you facilities like being able to save charts. So for instance, if I go here, you can see I've got a whole section of actors, male actors, then there's female actors, then there's everything from criminals to disease, cases of disease, businessmen, politicians.
Same folder.
What's that?
Criminals and politicians.
Yeah, I was actually wondering which one. Yes. Well, because I encourage you to do this. I always find it amusing that the last thing I ever was interested in are these websites, which says what's going on with that actor and that actress. But when they pop up, I look at them because sometimes it says, "Oh, what's his name? Has a problem," and I quickly go and check the charts. It's a way you learn experience by following charts. So this is what the Bazi is about. So first of all, it shows you strengths and weaknesses. You can find your strengths and your weaknesses, even ones you didn't know you had. But most importantly are these. Because if you go to the coming time period and you see that next year you start a 10-year period which is challenging in some respects, then that can help you in certain decisions you make. For instance, if there's a decision you have to make about starting a venture, maybe you better do it now before that 10-year period comes up. I have used it to identify certain challenges. I have used it when I first learned Bazi. It explained a lot about me, my past, things where you blame yourself, like, oh, why didn't I take that decision? Why didn't I do this? And then you suddenly see that it wasn't the cards, as it were. So, that is one way that you can do it. In a sense, you can give readings to people, but I would say, because people ask me, can I give readings? Yes, you can, but you do need a bit of experience. So you will need to start doing a number of charts and learning from them. Then there is a section which are known as special stars. Actually, to use the Chinese word, they're called gods and demons. Because these are special stars that when they come in, they can either be like a god and help you, or they can be like a demon and trip you up. And basically there are sections, whole charts, where if, for example, you are a young water, then ox will mean something else to you. Rat will mean something. So we can check with these. Okay, so basically that is Bazi. It's 4-day course because we have to introduce the Chinese metaphysics behind it, which is like biogeometry. When you learn it, it kind of opens your mind about luck, what we call luck. In the West, we have no idea about luck. The Chinese have got a very detailed idea about luck and destiny, things like that, which can be very eye-opening. Then we learn about the 5-element theory, and then you learn how to use the program, cast a chart, how to read a chart, and how to use these time periods, as I said, to start predicting things and seeing what kind of a year you have ahead of you, what kind of a okay, so for example, 1976, from what I see here, 1976, again, I have no idea, I would have to read, but 1976 might have been an interesting year for Anthony Hopkins, because having 2 dragons sometimes can already make the person slightly more daring than is good for him sometimes. But 3 dragons then can mess that up. Like, for example, the pig. This is the year of the pig, as you probably know. So those of you, what's that?
It's Earth pig, isn't it?
Yes, so those of you who in here already have a pig, you might find yourself doing a few silly things. The kind where you say, I know it was dumb, but I did it anyway. Because when you get 2 pigs in the same... You see, this is a constellation, they're all interacting. However, every year, every month, every day, forget the day, because the day, by the time the energy starts to take place, the day is halfway over, But every month, every year, and every 10 years, all of these interact with these. It's like new people coming into the chart. Okay? So basically, that's what Bazi is about. So I don't take off yours and take more time. If you're interested, you can ask me more about it later on. Okay?
What are the dates?
Eloise can tell you the dates. I don't know how
hang on. top of my head.
One
It's
little
the
interesting
5th to
thing.
the 8th.
What's that?
5th to the 8th of
5
December.
to 8 December. One interesting thing. If you've ever worked or will work in Singapore or Hong Kong or China, and you apply to a position like, I don't mean delivering pizza or something, I mean a position like an executive or a manager, you might be surprised why in the application they ask you for not just for your date of birth, which is natural, but for your time and place of date. You'd say, why do they want to know what time I was born? Actually, they will have in-house people, or they contract it out, who will do your Bazi chart and give their comments. Because you may be the most qualified applicant on the list, but if they see that in 2 years' time you've got a very, very challenging time ahead, which could reflect in heart attack or something like that, then they might take that into consideration. Or there are certain special stars, like, I don't know, there are certain ones. For instance, there's one which suggests that someone could emotionally go over the top, let's say in jealousy situations. And it can happen, it can happen, no matter how intelligent you are. This is like the case of that woman who was an astronaut in America. An astronaut obviously need to be immensely intelligent and capable. Yet, when she had a boyfriend and she realized that there was another woman from his work, giving him attention and trying to take him away, she actually plotted to kill her. She literally met her in a parking lot. It failed for some reason, but in her car, when she got arrested, they found tape, masking tape, they found rope, and a shovel.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, so you see, it doesn't mean she's intelligent, but she has that weakness. Sometimes these things can come across. Okay,
We're still going to do some gardening.
thank you.